The handcuffs were too tight. 16-year-old Maya Johnson felt the cold metal cutting into her wrists as Officer Davis shoved her against the patrol car. Her voice cracked as she tried one last time. "Please, just call my mother. She's General Patricia Johnson." 4 stars. The laughter that erupted from the 3 officers was cruel and sharp, echoing off the empty parking lot walls. "Sure she is, kid," Officer Martinez sneered, "and my dad's the president." What they didn't know was that at that exact moment, a black SUV with government plates was speeding through traffic, carrying someone who would make them question everything they thought they knew about power, respect, and the price of assumptions. You see, when systemic bias meets military authority, the collision is explosive. When those sworn to protect become the very threat our children fear, the pain runs deeper than any physical wound. This isn't just another story about police encounters gone wrong. This is about a moment when the tables turned so dramatically that it changed lives forever. Before we continue, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Maya's hands shook as she gripped the steering wheel of her mother's Honda Civic. The red and blue lights in her rearview mirror had been flashing for 3 blocks now, and her heart hammered against her ribs like a caged bird trying to escape. She pulled over in the parking lot of an abandoned strip mall, the kind of place that looked like hope had packed up and left years ago. Officer Davis approached with his hand resting on his weapon, his face set in the kind of stone-cold expression that Maya had seen too many times on the news. Behind him, Officers Martinez and Thompson flanked the vehicle like predators circling prey. "License and registration," Davis barked through the partially rolled window. Maya's voice came out smaller than she intended. "Yes, sir. I didn't ask for conversation. License. Registration. Now." Her fingers fumbled through the glove compartment. The registration was there, but as she reached for her purse, Officer Martinez suddenly shouted, "Hands where I can see them. She's reaching for something." No, it's just my wallet." Maya's voice cracked with terror. Within seconds, her door was yanked open. Rough hands dragged her from the car, her knees hitting the asphalt hard enough to tear through her jeans. The taste of copper filled her mouth. She'd bitten her tongue. "Please, I wasn't doing anything wrong," she gasped as they forced her arms behind her back. Officer Thompson rifled through her purse, scattering its contents across the ground. Her student ID, lip gloss, and a photo of her and her mother at her high school graduation ceremony scattered like fallen leaves. "What's this?" Thompson held up a small plastic bag containing what looked like oregano. Well, what do we have here?" Maya's eyes went wide. "That's not mine. I've never seen that before in my life." But she could see it in their eyes. They'd already decided her fate. The handcuffs clicked shut with the finality of a judge's gavel, and Maya Johnson realized that her biggest mistake hadn't been speeding or running a red light. Her biggest mistake had been being young and black in the wrong place at the wrong time. "I'm telling you, that's not mine." Maya's voice rose in desperation as Officer Davis shoved her against the patrol car. The metal was cold against her cheek, and she could feel the weight of 3 sets of eyes on her back, measuring her worth in assumptions. Officer Martinez chuckled, a sound devoid of any warmth. "They all say that, sweetheart. Amazing how drugs just magically appear in people's cars." "Search her phone," Thompson suggested, already scrolling through Maya's contacts. "Let's see what kind of crowd this one runs with." Maya's mind raced. She needed help, and she needed it now. "Please, just call my mother. She'll explain everything." Davis rolled his eyes. "Oh, here we go. Let me guess, Mommy's gonna come bail you out?" "She's a general," Maya said quickly. "General Patricia Johnson. She's 4 stars. She'll vouch for me." The silence that followed lasted exactly 3 seconds before all 3 officers burst into laughter. It wasn't the kind of laughter you hear at a comedy show. It was ugly, mocking, the kind that cut straight to the bone. "A general," Martinez wheezed, wiping tears from his eyes. "Did you hear that, boys? We got ourselves a military brat whose mommy is a 4-star general." Thompson shook his head, still grinning. "What's next? Is Daddy an astronaut? Maybe Grandpa's the Pope?" "I'm serious," Maya insisted, her voice breaking. "Her name is General Patricia Johnson. She's stationed at the Pentagon. Please, just make one phone call." Davis leaned in close, his breath hot against her ear. Listen here, little princess. I've been a cop for 15 years. You know how many kids I've arrested who claimed their parents were somebody important? Senators, judges, movie stars? Hell, one kid swore his uncle was Batman. But she really is. The only thing your general mama is gonna be is disappointed when she finds out her daughter's a drug dealer. Martinez interrupted, holding up the plastic bag again. Maya felt something break inside her chest. Not physically, but something deeper. The part of her that had believed the world was fair. That truth mattered. That being innocent was enough to protect you. You can't do this, she whispered. Actually, we can, Davis said, opening the back door of the patrol car. Welcome to the real world, kid. As they prepared to shove her into the car, Maya made one last desperate attempt. Her phone number is in my contacts. Just call her, please. But their minds were already made up. And Maya Johnson was about to learn that sometimes the truth isn't enough. Sometimes you need power to make people listen. General Patricia Johnson was reviewing classified intelligence reports in her Pentagon office when her secure phone buzzed with an unfamiliar number. She almost ignored it. Her assistant filtered most calls, but something made her answer. General Johnson. Mum? The voice was barely a whisper, crackling through what sounded like a bad connection. Patricia's blood ran cold. Maya, where are you? What's wrong? They arrested me, Mom. The police, they planted something in my car, and they won't listen. They're laughing at me. Maya's words came out in a rush, punctuated by muffled voices in the background. Patricia stood so quickly her chair rolled backward and hit the wall. 28 years of military service had trained her to stay calm under pressure. But this wasn't a battlefield, this was her daughter. Where are you exactly? Her voice carried the authority of someone accustomed to being obeyed. Brookside Police Department, I think. Mom, I told them you were a general, and they just... The line went dead. Patricia stared at the phone for exactly 2 seconds before her training kicked in. She hit speed dial, and within moments, her aide-de-camp, Colonel Williams, was on the line. Colonel, I need an immediate location trace on a cell phone. She rattled off Maya's number. Then I need my car ready in 5 minutes, and I need you to contact the Brookside Police Department. Find out who's in charge. Yes, ma'am. Is everything all right? Patricia was already moving, grabbing her jacket and keys. My daughter has been arrested, and from what I can tell, these officers have no idea who they're dealing with. Should I alert the base commander? Not yet. Let's see how this plays out first. Patricia paused at her office door. But Colonel? Have the Judge Advocate General's office standing by. As she strode through the Pentagon corridors, other officers automatically stepped aside. They could see it in her posture. The set of her jaw, General Patricia Johnson, was going to war. And God help whoever was stupid enough to stand in her way. Her phone buzzed with a text from Colonel Williams. Brookside PD located. Chief Martinez is on duty. ETA to your location? Patricia glanced at her watch and calculated traffic. 45 minutes. She had 45 minutes to plan her strategy. And 38 years of military experience told her that sometimes the most devastating attacks came not with overwhelming force, but with surgical precision. Maya sat in the cold, fluorescent-lit interrogation room, her hands still cuffed behind her back. The metal chair was uncomfortable, designed to make suspects squirm, and it was working. Her shoulders ached, and she could feel dried blood on her scraped knees through the tears in her jeans. Officer Davis entered carrying a manila folder and a styrofoam cup of coffee that smelled like it had been brewing since the Clinton administration. He settled across from her with the practiced ease of a man who'd done this dance 1,000 times. So, Maya, he began, opening the folder with theatrical flair, let's talk about what we found in your car. It wasn't mine. Her voice was hoarse from crying. Right, the old not mine defense. Davis pulled out several photos of the plastic bag. Funny thing is, your fingerprints are all over the bag. Maya's heart sank. Of course they were. Thompson had shoved the bag into her hands while they were arresting her, claiming he needed to secure the evidence. I touched it because your partner put it in my hands. Davis leaned back, studying her with the kind of look a cat gives a cornered mouse. Here's what I think happened. I think you're a good kid from a good family who got mixed up with the wrong crowd. Maybe you needed money for college. Maybe you just wanted to fit in. Either way, you made a mistake. I didn't. Now, if you cooperate with us, tell us where you got the drugs, who your supplier is. Maybe we can work something out. Reduce charges, community service, instead of jail time. Maya felt the walls closing in. This was it. The moment where everything she'd been taught about justice and fairness revealed itself to be a lie. But if you keep lying to me, Davis continued, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper, if you keep insisting that your mommy, the general, is going to come save you, well, let's just say the justice system doesn't look kindly on uncooperative defendants. Through the one-way mirror, Maya could see Officer Martinez talking to someone on the phone, probably booking her a cell for the night. The reality of her situation crashed over her like a cold wave. I want a lawyer, she said quietly. Davis laughed. Lawyers cost money, sweetheart. And from what I can tell, your family doesn't exactly scream money to me. That car you were driving must be 15 years old. Your clothes? Walmart special. Face it, you're not important enough for anyone to care what happens to you. Maya closed her eyes and tried to remember her mother's face. The pride in her eyes at graduation. The way she stood so straight and tall in her uniform. If her mother really was coming, she'd be here soon. But what if the officers were right? What if no one cared enough to help her? The interrogation room door opened, and Officer Thompson stuck his head in. Davis, you need to see this. Something in his voice made Maya open her eyes. For the first time since this nightmare began, Officer Thompson looked nervous. Chief Martinez was having a terrible day even before his phone rang. Budget cuts, personnel shortages, and 3 domestic violence calls before lunch had already pushed him to his limit. The last thing he needed was another complication. Brookside Police, Chief Martinez speaking. Chief Martinez, this is Colonel Williams calling from the Pentagon on behalf of General Patricia Johnson. Martinez paused, his coffee cup halfway to his lips. I'm sorry, could you repeat that? General Patricia Johnson, 4-star General, United States Army. I'm calling regarding her daughter Maya Johnson, who was arrested by your officers approximately 2 hours ago. The coffee cup hit the desk with a clink that seemed to echo through the suddenly quiet station. Could you hold on just one moment? Martinez covered the phone and yelled across the bullpen, Davis, get in here. Now. Officer Davis sauntered over, still riding high from his interrogation session. What's up, Chief? Tell me about the Johnson arrest. The girl with the drugs. Nothing special. Teenage dealer, probably small time. She's been spinning some story about her mother being a general. But Martinez held up his hand and uncovered the phone. Colonel Williams, could you provide some verification of General Johnson's identity? Certainly. General Patricia Johnson, service number 223456789, currently serving as Deputy Chief of Staff for Intelligence, G2, at the Pentagon. Would you like me to transfer you directly to her office? The blood drained from Davis's face so quickly that Martinez thought the man might faint. That won't be necessary right now. Martinez managed. Is the general planning to get involved in this matter? General Johnson is currently en route to your facility. I believe her estimated arrival time is approximately 25 minutes. After Martinez hung up, the police station fell into the kind of silence usually reserved for funerals and tax audits. Every officer in the bullpen was staring at Davis, who looked like he'd just been told he had terminal cancer. Please tell me you didn't rough up a 4-star general's daughter. Martinez said slowly. Davis's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. We found drugs? What drugs? Where exactly did you find them? The silence stretched until Thompson cleared his throat. Well, actually, I found them when I was searching her purse. Found them or placed them. Another silence. This one even more damning than the first. Martinez felt a migraine building behind his eyes. Get that girl out of interrogation right now. Remove the handcuffs, get her some water, and for the love of all that's holy, be polite about it. Chief, what do we do about the drugs? Martinez looked at the plastic bag containing what was obviously oregano and felt his career flashing before his eyes. What drugs? I don't see any drugs. Because sometimes, when a 4-star general is about to walk through your door, evidence has a funny way of disappearing. The black SUV pulled into the Brookside Police Department parking lot, With the quiet authority of a storm cloud rolling in before a hurricane, General Patricia Johnson stepped out wearing her dress blue uniform, every ribbon and star precisely in place, her bearing so perfectly military that nearby civilians instinctively straightened their postures. Colonel Williams emerged from the passenger side, carrying a briefcase and wearing the kind of expression that suggested someone was about to have a very bad day. Inside the station, Chief Martinez watched through the window as the two figures approached and felt his stomach drop into his shoes. He'd seen generals before, at ceremonies, in parades, in photographs, but he'd never seen one walking toward him with the focused intensity of a guided missile locked onto its target. "Everyone listen up," he announced to the bullpen. "When that door opens, I want every officer standing at attention. Nobody speaks unless spoken to. Nobody moves unless I tell them to. And for God's sake, somebody get Maya Johnson out here right now." The front door opened, and General Johnson entered like she owned not just the building but the entire city block. Her eyes swept the room, cataloging every face, every detail, with the practiced efficiency of someone trained to assess threats in combat zones. "I'm General Patricia Johnson," she said, her voice carrying the kind of authority that made strong men consider career changes. "I believe you have my daughter." Chief Martinez stepped forward, his mouth dry. "Yo, General Johnson, I'm Chief Martinez. There seems to have been some kind of..." Patricia's gaze fixed on him like a laser sight. "Misunderstanding? My daughter called me from your facility. She told me she'd been arrested, that evidence had been planted on her, and that your officers laughed when she told them who I was. Ma'am, I can assure you that we follow proper procedures. Where is she?" The question cut through Martinez's prepared speech like a blade through paper. She's being processed, but I can have her brought out immediately." "You do that." As they waited, Patricia noticed the way every officer in the room avoided eye contact. She noticed the uncomfortable shifting, the way conversations died when she looked in their direction. Most of all, she noticed Officers Davis, Martinez, and Thompson huddled near the back of the room, whispering like school children who'd been caught cheating. When Maya finally appeared, escorted by a nervous-looking sergeant, Patricia felt her heart break. Her daughter's clothes were torn, her face streaked with dried tears, and there were angry red marks on her wrists from handcuffs that had been applied too tightly. Maya ran to her mother and collapsed into her arms. 28 years of military composure, the only thing keeping Patricia from losing control entirely. "It's all right, baby," she whispered, stroking Maya's hair. "Mama's here now." But as she held her daughter, General Patricia Johnson was already planning her next move. And it was going to be devastating. Patricia held Maya for exactly 30 seconds before gently setting her daughter aside and turning to face Chief Martinez. The transformation was immediate and terrifying. The loving mother disappeared, replaced by a 4-star general who had commanded troops in 3 different combat zones. "Chief Martinez," she began, her voice dropping to a dangerous quiet. "I want to know exactly what happened here today. And I want the truth." Martinez glanced at Officers Davis, Thompson, and Martinez, who suddenly found the floor tiles fascinating. "General, there was a routine traffic stop that escalated when contraband was discovered." "Stop." Patricia held up one hand. "Colonel Williams?" Her aide opened his briefcase and pulled out a tablet. "Ma'am, show Chief Martinez the traffic camera footage from the intersection of Maple and 3rd Street, timestamp 14:32 hours. The blood drained from Martinez's face. "Traffic cameras? Every major intersection in this county has them, Chief. Did you think we wouldn't check?" Patricia's smile was sharp enough to cut glass. "Would you like to see what really happened during that routine traffic stop?" Colonel Williams turned the tablet around, revealing crystal-clear footage of the arrest. Maya's car being pulled over, the officers approaching, and most damning of all, Officer Thompson clearly removing a small plastic bag from his own pocket before placing it in Maya's purse. The silence in the police station was so complete you could hear the fluorescent lights buzzing. "Now," Patricia continued, her voice still dangerously quiet, "I want to hear Officer Davis explain to me why he told my daughter that she wasn't important enough for anyone to care what happened to her." Davis looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. "General, we didn't know..." "You didn't know what? That she was my daughter? That she was a human being who deserved to be treated with respect? Or that your actions were being recorded by multiple security cameras? Patricia stepped closer, and despite being several inches shorter than Davis, she somehow managed to look down at him. Officer Davis, in my 38 years of military service, I've encountered enemy combatants who showed more professionalism than you've displayed today. She turned to address the entire room. I want everyone here to understand something. My daughter wasn't protected today because I'm a general. She should have been protected because she's a 17-year-old honor student who has never been in trouble a day in her life. She should have been protected because we live in a country where people are supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. Patricia pulled out her phone. Colonel Williams, please contact the FBI's Civil Rights Division. I believe they'll want to investigate this department for evidence planting and civil rights violations. Wait, Chief Martinez stepped forward, panic clear in his voice. General, perhaps we can resolve this internally. Patricia's laugh was colder than a Pentagon briefing room in January. Internally, Chief, 3 of your officers conspired to frame my daughter for drug possession. They planted evidence, conducted an illegal search, used excessive force during arrest, and then mocked her when she tried to contact her family. She gestured to Maya, who was still trembling beside her. Look at her wrists. Look at her torn clothes. Look at what your professionals did to a child. Patricia stepped back and placed a protective arm around Maya. This isn't about my rank or my position. This is about justice. And I promise you, justice will be served. 6 months later, Maya Johnson stood on the steps of the federal courthouse, flanked by her mother and a team of civil rights attorneys. Behind them, news cameras captured every word as the lead attorney announced the settlement, $2.3 million from the city of Brookside, plus comprehensive police reform measures. Officers Davis, Thompson, and Martinez had all been terminated and were facing federal criminal charges. Chief Martinez had retired early, his pension under review. The entire Brookside Police Department was now under federal oversight. But for Maya, the money wasn't what mattered. I want every young person watching this to understand something, she said into the microphones, her voice stronger now than it had been in that interrogation room. Your worth isn't determined by who your parents are or what they do for a living. You deserve to be treated with dignity and respect regardless of your race, your age, or your zip code. Patricia watched her daughter speak and felt a pride that had nothing to do with military commendations or battlefield victories. This was different. This was her child turning pain into purpose. The officers who arrested me thought I was just another black girl from the wrong side of town. Maya continued. They thought nobody would care what happened to me. They were wrong. After the press conference, as they walked to their car, Maya asked, Mom, do you think this will really change anything? Patricia considered the question carefully. Change is slow, baby. But every time someone stands up and says this isn't right, we move a little closer to the world we want to live in. Maya nodded, then smiled for the first time in months. Want to know something funny? What's that? Officer Davis was right about one thing. I wasn't important enough before this happened. Maya's smile widened. But I am now. As they drove away from the courthouse, Patricia glanced in her rearview mirror at the reporters still broadcasting the story. Tomorrow it would be in newspapers across the country. Next week, it would be part of police training seminars. And maybe, just maybe, the next time a young person said their parent was important, someone would listen instead of laugh. Because sometimes the most powerful weapon isn't a tank or a missile or a 4-star general's authority. Sometimes it's simply the truth, backed up by the courage to stand up and fight for what's right.